212. Welcome back. Hi, Jeej.
Hi, George.
Jordan.
Jojo.
Fuck.
Okay, when she was born, I named her Jordan.
Okay, but who the hell is George?
George.
Gigi, Jojo of the Spiritual Bitchslap Co. So we are still Mom, George. Oh, Lord. Okay, so
I didn't say George. I said Jord.
No, you said George. We will run it back. You guys confirm in the comments. She said George, not Jord. And here we are. Welcome to the Spiritual Bitchslap. So here's the deal, you guys. Every week we are going to be coming live in our Substack. We are creating transmissions, articles, whatever you want to call them, for free on incredible topics that are resonating not only with us, but I just think in the greater awakening that humans are experiencing right now, especially the mamas, the entrepreneurs, the people that I talk to on a daily basis. But with that being said, we are going live on my channel because we are still growing our audience, which means we are still waiting for the capacity from said algorithm people to be able to go live over there. So if you would like more of our content, which we'll get into right now, be sure to follow us over on Spiritual Bitchslap Co. I'll put the link in. And then I've also put a link below to our Substack. So if you guys want more transmissions on peace, power, presence, your sovereign authority, the truth of who you are, remembering who you are, then that's where you want to subscribe, because we'll be putting daily and weekly content there. Cool? Cool. George out. Now we'll get to the Gigi and Jojo. And Mom, you know, we wrote this article this week, and if you haven't seen it, it's in our Substack. But it's about, would you rather be right or would you rather be free? And it's the spiritual bitch slap that none of us asked for, but that comes up time and time again. And there's a really cool distinction between being right and the victim state, and being free and being in our sovereign state. So with that foundation, let's kick off this week's live with talking about victim, sovereign, right, and free.
I know there's got to be, everybody has to have a little piece of them that wants to say, well, can I be right and free? You know, do I really have to be a victim?
Can I be right and still be in my sovereign state?
Yeah. Well, yeah, we can. But here what we really want to say is that everything belongs, because we are human, and above all else, we will embrace our humanity. And so, you know, there's going to be times where we're in this place of reacting, where we need to be right, and we lose our presence, we lose our peace, we lose our, which is our power, which is the portal to the infinite field. So we kind of have two operating systems, and they do turn out to be usually, at least I experience it myself. I have a shadow that's intolerance, and we want to be very clear. There is gold in these shadows, because in our humanity, we would not choose to evolve or wake up unless we suffered. Mm-hmm. And you cannot live in wanting to be right all the time. You cannot live in, you know, this separate consciousness of suffering. It's really a survival. And you cannot live there very long without being propelled to awaken. And you mentioned remember. In the beginning, you'd kind of have to remember who you are, that you are not this 3D skin suit, you know, that you are infinite, you are one with the divine. And this is what allows you to move from the victim to the sovereign. And when we are in our victimhood, it's painful.
But at the same time, and I guess it's not a but, and at the same time, when we are living from the unawareness of our victimhood, being right can also feel good. And I say that with just a little grace to the unaware, like myself, in experiencing things that I've experienced. I'll just give the example of last week. I won't get into full detail, but you know, when things are perceived to be slighted to you, like if you are in a relationship or if you're in a business and this person said something or whatever it is. And I am one that can very easily go and build my case as to why I'm justified in being right and justified in what I want the outcome to be of. They have to be wrong so I can feel justified in my stance. And so I just want to give that subtlety, because it feels good in the moment, but then I realize the more I look at it, I have left my state of peace and I've given away my authority to a circumstance or to a person or to something outside of myself. And so I would just love for you to touch on those examples, not of like the victim examples, but just on what it looks like to give up your authority to something as opposed to staying in your sovereignty and in that freedom, just so people get the difference.
Well, you have to say who it feels good to. Mm-hmm. And it feels good to the ego. And it feels good to the separate self that thinks that it has to survive. And when you are in survival mode, you will react. And so other than that, it really doesn't feel good. And when you start understanding the truth of who you are and you're living in your peace, which is your power. Really, everybody, talk about high vibing. We don't see it that way. The new high vibe is living in this place of presence, which is your power, which is no matter what happens to me outside of me. See what you were just talking about. You were a victim of something outside of you that caused you to react. Mm-hmm. And you might think it's good because in your limited self, it does feel good.
Yeah.
That's why we have so much chaos in the world.
And I also want to give people the subtlety of like, oh, and I do this too. So like, I'm not calling anyone out but myself. Like, well, no, I didn't react because I took the time to respond with a well thought out court-like case of why I was justified and correct. And it's the same fucking thing. Like if we're being honest with it. And so, it really is when you start asking questions of what part of me needed that vindication, what part of me needed that person to acquiesce to their wrongness in order to feel my authority. You can really start to see
if this
the
is
unraveling.
The same thing. I think we had a conversation about it and you really rose like a sovereign to finally just state things,
I did, but I also got quips in there. I also had moments where I wasn't.
Works in progress.
And that's the key, you guys. It's not like being in a victim state is wrong and being in a sovereign state is right. You said it already, but I want to reiterate again. Everything belongs. And I think that's really where you and I differ. Or no, we agree, but differ from others. Not that we have to play that game, but we really don't, I don't look at the ego as the enemy. I don't look at the separate self as a failure. I look at it with love and one of our favorite words, grace, to realize like, oh, it's not that I'm now wrong. I'm just learning where I'm not free.
Well, and if you look at the two areas, right or free, it's being right is the victim conscious we were talking about, and being free is your sovereign, which means nothing outside of you has the power to take away your presence and your peace. And that's really important. So it isn't, and you need all three aspects of you. You need your separate self to choose to align with that higher perspective. Okay. So the ego is not the enemy. And, it's just crazy that we make any part of us an enemy. We are to hold this power of tender love. And when we look at sovereignty, it really begins with becoming aware of the truth of who you are. And we say remember because in the beginning, you kind of have to remember. We think we are this separate self and we are not. We are the divine in a 3D skin suit. So you first have to become aware of what sovereignty really is. Mm-hmm. And then what we said, we're remembering is taking people to the past. So we really want to start saying that we want to continue to recognize. So throughout the day, I recognize, am I losing my power to a circumstance outside of me?
Or it's not even losing. Am I giving?
You're right. Oh,
it's
that's
a choice.
Even better. That's
a choice. Am I giving my power?
Let's see what the victim, I
lost my power. Right. No victims here.
There's mercy. We just, again, you guys, if spiritual bitch slap is very irreverent, right? But it's an irreverent way of saying, I just told Jordan, I look back on my life and my license plate was reverence before I even knew what the word meant. And that spiritual bitch slap is a very irreverent way to let you know how important it is that reverence carries everything.
Yeah.
And everything, and we look at,
and that's in the article too. We talk about going from, yeah.
Well, we talk about so how do I do that? How do I do that? Well, you begin to understand what makes up this incredible possibility that we are the divine. And it really, you have to be in safety. And look at, when people are trying to be right, you guys, that's where they're finding their safety. We all want to be safe
and secure.
And well, that's what it is. And I'm going to get on solid ground with my opinions, you know, and we're just saying it's not solid ground. It's earthquake territory. And so what we're talking about is that this safety is your home, but your home is your ability to have presence in the present moment
and recognize.
And well, you begin to write, you have to remember it. And then you start writing, oh, I lost my peace. I lost, you know, where am I? I had to laugh, you guys. I go hiking every morning and every night. It's beautiful. We live in a beautiful area. I pass waterfalls and goats and everything. And I was kind of chatting with AI. I just said, this is the funniest thing. We're doing an article. I mean, we know a chat on I'd rather be right or what's the other one we're doing, the sovereign or free.
Yeah.
And I said, but I want to get it right, you know, and it's just, you have to be able to step into the unknown. You cannot, and so much of us needing to be right is we just want to be in the known. We can't handle that. Participation in life is moment to moment to moment. So getting back to what sovereignty is, you have this ability to be in your presence, and that presence offers you peace. And that peace allows you to have reverence for everything. We'll say it every time we get on Substack. Everything belongs. We cannot be fighting against anything because everything's an energy, a frequency, a vibration. And the shadow frequencies, like mine of intolerance, has gold in it, right? It has gold in it because it became so
painfully clear
that I couldn't live my life. There was a lot that I was justified in not tolerating. And that's okay because that's the gold. And it brought me to this place of understanding and knowing that understanding is not of the mind. Understanding is of the heart. And to understand with my heart is to have an open heart, a clear heart, a full heart, and a very strong heart to know that everybody's just doing the best that they can do and everything belongs.
Yeah.
But that moves you to what Richard Rudd, if you know the Gene Keys, he's brilliant, what he calls the Siddhi, SIDDHI. It's a term from the East. And it's this frequency of the divine. And this frequency of intolerance moving to understanding is forgiveness. And oh my goodness, forgiveness has nothing to do with mercy. In fact, he calls it merciless forgiveness because mercy forgiveness says they did something wrong and I must forgive. And merciless forgiveness is, you know what? It's not true to begin with. Anything that we experience that isn't in a place of our sovereignty, it's not truth. This energy, this consciousness, this infinite field of all possibilities, call it God, whatever you want to call it, does not see this shit. So there's nothing we have to be sorry for. We just have to drop it. But here's the thing with victim and sovereign. The last thing the victim wants to do is do that because it could no longer be a victim any longer.
Right.
It would have to start the wonderful, beautiful, painful, celebratory journey of becoming a sovereign.
And really, for those that kind of want a definition of it, it's to take radical responsibility for the quality of your life. And that's really what we talk about on a consistent basis. And, you know, for future articles that we're going to be writing, for future conversations that we're going to be writing, you've talked about it. You've talked about mind-heart coherence. You talked about without talking about it, the creative structure versus the problem structure. You've talked about the states of being that we have to be in, the separate self, all of these aspects of consciousness. You guys, these are the topics that we're going to relate and bring practical application to on everyday circumstances and life, and take that radical responsibility from a place of sovereignty in our peace, power, and presence. We're even going to do lives on peace, power, and presence, and where that lies with the higher mind and the lower mind. So again, for those of you that love this, that want this, that are thinking of people who need this, please do your part. Subscribe, like, join us on Substack, join us over at the Spiritual Bitchslap. But more importantly, join these transmissions, join this conversation, join this awakening that we've been so blessed. I've been so blessed to have her my whole life, but really in the last 5 6 years, we've been so blessed to just want to bring this forward. So any final words for further transmissions that they can look forward to?
Well, yeah, just that these transmissions are for no other reason that you are living the life that you love. And that can only be done when you are in a place of sovereignty, that you're actually not just living the life you want to love, but loving the life you want to live. And they're kind of, if you think about it, I choose to live the life I love. But we know that if we are not living right where we're at, right here, right now, then that is just, then I will be.
Yeah.
And so we really want to bring forward the ability to have decided. Did I spit?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. And you know what? They wouldn't have known, Jordan. They wouldn't have seen. Oh,
I would. It's gross. There's spit on my chin. No, thank you. Deal with my children spitting on me and other bodily functions enough.
Everything belongs.
Everything belongs. But with that, we love you guys. Mom, I love you. And again, I'm going to say it. You guys, if you want to watch this wild journey of unfold, I mean, for that alone, grab a front row seat, because truly we have no idea what we're doing. If you guys want to watch a practice of stepping into the unknown with nothing but certainty and uncertainty at the same time, please come follow along. Because
we have certainty beyond our logic that this is where we're to be, but with total uncertainty. So, and you know what? I know everybody wants that. And so you guys use us as your guinea pigs
and point to us for reference. That's all. So with that, love you guys. Have a beautiful Friday. Freedom Fridays, y'all. Let's get it. Bye. How do you turn this thing off? Seriously. Okay. Bye.